The words sliced through the noise of the crowded restaurant, calm, deep, and protective. The room fell silent, and every head turned toward the man who had spoken. A single dad, dressed simply in a worn blue shirt, stood between a trembling young woman and a table of men in suits. His steady voice carried more weight than their status, more authority than their money. And for a moment, even the billionaire heiress herself couldn't breathe. It's because the man defending her was the last person she ever thought she'd need. It all began a few weeks earlier, on a rainy afternoon when Ethan Hayes was juggling two worlds. One was his 8-year-old daughter Lily, a bright, curious girl who loved drawing stars on foggy windows. The other was his struggling reality: overdue bills, double shifts at a construction site, and the unspoken ache of raising a child alone since his wife's passing 3 years ago. His life had taught him to stay quiet, to work hard, and to never expect miracles. But miracles have strange ways of walking into your life. That day, as he parked his old truck outside a cafe, he saw a young woman sitting alone under the awning, soaked from the rain, her designer coat smeared with mud. She looked lost, not in the city, but in life. Ethan hesitated, then grabbed his umbrella and approached. "You okay there?" he asked. She looked up startled. Her eyes were red, not from the rain, but from crying. "I just needed a place to think," she whispered. He offered her a half smile. "Well, thinking's easier when you're not freezing." He handed her the umbrella and motioned toward the cafe door. "Come on, they've got good coffee. Or at least, it's warm." That's how Ethan met Aria Lancaster, daughter of billionaire hotel tycoon Victor Lancaster, though he didn't know it then. To him, she was just a girl trying to hold herself together. She told him she'd lost something important, though she never said what. He didn't pry. Over time, their paths crossed again. She began visiting the cafe regularly, sometimes running into Ethan and Lily. Lily adored her instantly, the way she listened, the way she smiled at Lily's silly stories, the way she painted with her when Ethan couldn't afford the art classes his daughter wanted so badly. Aria had a warmth in her that didn't match the coldness of her last name. Ethan never asked where she came from, and she never told. In a world full of people who judged by what they saw, both had found something rare: quiet understanding. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. The night of the charity gala changed everything. Ethan had been invited, not as a guest, but as part of the staff. His construction company had done the renovations for the hotel hosting the event, and he was there to ensure everything ran smoothly. He didn't expect to see her again, not dressed in silver silk, standing beneath the chandelier, every inch the heiress she had never admitted to being. Aria Lancaster. And beside her was her father, the man whose empire stretched across continents. He was tall, commanding, and his voice carried the sharpness of money. Ethan froze. Their worlds were never meant to collide like this. When their eyes met, she looked terrified, as if every secret, every quiet moment they had shared at that cafe had just been ripped open. Later that evening, Ethan overheard a conversation he wasn't meant to. At the corner table, Victor Lancaster spoke harshly, his voice low but laced with disdain. "She's weak," he said to his associates. "She thinks people like that man, men with dirt under their nails, can offer her anything real. She'll learn her lesson soon enough." Ethan's fists clenched. He wasn't angry for himself, but for her. For the pain in her eyes when she overheard her own father's words. She had come to find love and truth beyond the gold walls of her world, and even there, she was caged by expectation. Moments later, Aria walked out of the ballroom in tears. Ethan followed quietly, finding her sitting at an empty table near the restaurant attached to the hotel. "Hey," he said softly. She looked up, her mask shattered. "He'll never let me choose Ethan. Not love, not life, not even myself." Ethan sat across from her, his voice calm but steady. "Then maybe it's time someone reminded him that you're not his to control." Before she could reply, her father and 2 security guards appeared. The older man's expression was cold. "You're coming with us, Aria," he ordered. She shook her head, trembling. "No." Victor turned his glare on Ethan. "And you. You've had your fun. Stay away from my daughter before I make sure you never work in this city again." The restaurant went silent. Waiters froze, guests turned. Aria's tears slipped quietly down her cheeks. Ethan stood slowly, his hand steady as he placed it gently on hers. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried through the entire room. "She's with me." Time stopped. Victor's anger faltered for a split second, because it wasn't defiance he heard in Ethan's tone, but conviction. A quiet, unshakable strength. Ethan didn't back down. "You can take her name, her money, her comfort, but you can't take her choice. Tonight, she's choosing to stand for herself." and I'm standing with her. Aria's trembling stopped. Her fingers tightened around his hand, and for the first time, she didn't feel small under her father's shadow. Silence stretched, and then Victor, with an unreadable expression, turned and left. A weeks later, Aria left her father's company. It wasn't easy. Tabloids tore her apart, and doors that once opened easily now slammed shut. But through it all, Ethan and Lily stood beside her. He didn't have riches to offer, but he gave her something she'd never had: a home that felt real, laughter that didn't come with conditions, love that didn't demand perfection. One evening, as Lily painted stars on their living room window again, Aria leaned against Ethan's shoulder and whispered, "I used to think I needed the world to see me. But with you, I just need to be seen." Ethan smiled softly. "You always were. You just needed someone to remind you." Outside, the rain fell again, the same way it had the day they met. Only this time, they weren't strangers searching for meaning. They had found it in each other.